What's up, everybody? Noah Kaser back here for the second episode of the Heart of Hallmark podcast. Today, we are back with Jason Bourque. How are you today, sir?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me back on, Noah. That's awesome. And Kirsten, wonderful to meet.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you too.
And as always, I have my co-host, Kirsten. You've seen her a couple times, and you guys really seem to like her. And sadly, Amanda can't be here. We will have her next week, though. We have a lot planned for next week, diving into a lot of romance, a TV show, and some news. But we have Jason Bourque, director of A Whitewater Romance and multiple more Hallmark films. Can you tell us a little bit about A Whitewater Romance?
Yeah, so that came to me through a company that they do movies that don't necessarily they're not made sometimes with Hallmark. They're kind of made almost like an indie feature, and then they're then kind of like sold off to Hallmark, and they have a lot of, and then Hallmark has a lot of input. So that was one that wasn't developed specifically with Hallmark, but it's a company that does a lot of Cindy Busby wilderness adventures. And as we know, I mean, she's sort of like the, she's kind of carved out a niche doing movies like this. So when it came my way, I was totally excited. I knew of Cindy's reputation, and she's well loved and has a huge fan base and extremely funny. I'm very collaborative, so I was so happy to be able to have that opportunity working with her, and also Ben Hollingsworth from Virgin River as well.
What was it like to meet Cindy for the very first time? And is she the same person on screen as she is in person?
She is.
And vice versa.
She's we're both from back east in Canada. She's from Montreal. I just got back from Montreal just about a week ago. I'm from New Brunswick, so we're both East Coast. And I gotta say, East Coast Canadians are funnier than West Coast. It's just sort of a thing. It's I don't know if just the way that we're brought up and the family dynamic and dealing with really terrible weather, but it's very community orientated. So we immediately bonded. And again, she was like, she's just funny and very collaborative and creative. And a lot of these scripts, by the way, for us, especially something like this, there was a lot of humor that wasn't on the page. And it's we do a lot of ad libs, so there's a lot of funny moments that develop that aren't on that page at all, and she's the queen of that. Yeah. So as we're shooting the scene, we finish it and like, let's do another take, and she's like, well, how about this? Let's have my name crooked on the record, because we have like this scoreboard.
And I loved how you guys did that.
Yeah, she jumped in and she had to tweak it to straighten it out. I mean, none of that's in the script. I mean, that's just Cindy kind of cutting loose. And if anything, it's part of my job to rein her in, because she's just so bubbly and so many ideas. And that was an interesting character. It was very old school. I found that script kind of reminded me of a Hallmark from 10 years ago. It was just, it was interesting. Like, it wasn't, I'll be honest, I didn't find it was the most original script. But we always find little moments to play with and find the comedy and Cindy's fantastic at that.
And what is the most difficult thing about this film? Was it the timing? Was it the weather? And with Canada, it can either be 95 degrees or it can be 25 degrees.
It was tough, to be honest. I mean, the thing about like whitewater rafting is that there's a season for it, and that's usually in the summer. And this was one, unfortunately, that we did it off season. So what that meant was when we're in those rafts and we're going down the river, we can't actually get off those rafts because there's grizzly bears eating decayed salmon along the shoreline. And it's actually quite dangerous. So we had a great stunt coordinator. The government didn't want us to do it. But there's a forest company that allowed us to use like their access roads, because we're in the middle of nowhere when we're doing those type of that type of shooting. So it was we shot a lot of bears, also roaming gangs of chipmunks. So this is something which I've never had to deal with, but where you don't have one chipmunk, you have 5 or 6. So when we're eating our food, it would like jump up on your shoulder and they would grab the food and take off again. And I don't think we're using the film crew. So between the bears, the chipmunks, the decayed salmon, which really smell bad, by the way, the entire time, we're big smiles. There's literally by Cindy's foot this flapping decayed salmon as we're like down by the shore, and then you call in someone with a shovel to quickly move it out of the way before the grizzly bears show up. So it was the full on deal, and of course, like raining as well. We had wonderful weather when we did that whole scene down by the waterfall. Yeah, we had to like rappel down to get to that position, and we only had a little tiny space to shoot because the rocks were so slippery and the rain was pouring down on us, and we didn't have rain cover. So the conditions for that, always safe, always with a wonderful team. But like I said, it did have some challenges.
Speaking of the stunts, when I spoke to you the last time, you told me that Cindy did a specific stunt that she was terrified of.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about like
what was that stunt, and I have a feeling because I saw her eyes a couple of times, and I don't know if she was acting. She had like, okay, I'm really scared, I don't want to move, but Ben's right there.
She was a trooper. At one point, we didn't know if she was going to go through with the whitewater rafting. I mean, but she is a trooper, and we did have a stunt double. Tom Cruise does the same thing. He does all his own stunts, but Tom Cruise always has to, for insurance purposes, always has like the Tom Cruise double standing by. And then Tom Cruise just goes ahead and does it. Cindy's the same way. She's a Tom Cruise. So she's there she likes doing her own stunts, but we always have a backup just in case. But she never actually got cold feet. But the whitewater rafting, she wasn't too sure about it at first. When she got in, she loved it. The heights, we were pretty high up when she had to walk along that ladder. And it was very, Temple of Doom when they're up, or Ewoks, whatever you want to call it, when you're up in the trees. Same thing. At first I wasn't too sure if she was okay with the height, but ultimately she was. So again, it was incredible what she pulled off, but she, I think she was pretty freaked out. I think it was also at one point, I think the toughest one is when they kind of get on that red buoy ball and they're up in the trees.
Yeah.
And her and Ben have to make their way across. And she screams. She screamed.
And even the part where they were like blindfolded too.
Yeah.
Like that must have been really tricky to shoot.
Yes, tricky to shoot. Again, the height is a little tough. To be blindfolded when you're like, 2 stories up without a net, making your way across, like with the gaps between those bridge. Yeah, it was awesome. Again, very safe, excellent stunt coordinator that I always worked with, but it took some guts. But again, she's kind of known for this with these outdoor adventure movies.
Yeah, I told her, like, I got to meet her at Christmas Con. I was like, you are the queen of nature movies.
It's funny, one of the locations with the waterfall, that's actually where she shot another movie called Chasing Waterfalls.
Yeah, Chasing Waterfalls.
Yeah, I was a writer on that one, and I was going to direct it, but I got pulled into doing another project. And Christy Wolf, who's super incredibly talented, she does a ton of these. She ended up doing that one. And that one, she actually had to swim in that water, and it was like crazy cold.
Crazy cold. That was shot darn near the end of fall, and I'm like, I can see her breath. There's no way she's comfortable.
Yeah, it is crazy. But again, it's because of off season. They wanted this to move ahead for us to shoot it in the summer, but it didn't line up. I think with her schedule, Ben's schedule, a lot of factors involved, and that's why we had to do it off season and deal with so many production curveballs. Hey, the biggest, by the way, we were going to have a bear in the thing. Yeah, because it was leading towards it. Like we had, like, they find the remnants of the camp. It's been ripped apart by a bear, and Will DeVry, who I love working with, he talks about the bear. So we did have a big confrontation with the bear, but we had budget cuts at the last second. And I literally had a guy lined up in this amazing bear animatronic bear head in this costume, because that's how we were going to do it safely for this big bear confrontation. And we even had Ben was going to get on her back, and they have a stick, and they have to like scare off the giant dude in a bear costume, but budget cuts. And, then it's up to me to kind of like quickly, what are we going to do? Yeah. So we wrote it, and we got lost in the woods. That replaced it when they're out finding mushrooms. So, lots of, like I said, lots of curveballs making these movies, and you have to adapt. Especially because we had no rain cover. We're literally outdoors for so much of it.
Yeah. And my last question for my section is, with Cindy and Ben, right? They have made one movie together before.
Yes.
What was it like with them on this set? Was it like best friends reconnecting? Or was it just like this film was completely different from their other film? They had a very serious film, and this one is very fun and over the top and just
over the top,
very bubbly, just like Cindy.
Yeah, it's funny, their chemistry. It's very much like a brother and sister, so they kind of needle each other. They both enjoy teasing each other, and there's times when she's trying to do a take, and then he's off camera throwing little gummy bears at her to throw her off her game. And it was funny when we actually wrapped the show. He was still stuck 3 stories up, hanging off this net between these trees, and the rain was kind of pouring down, and he's like, wait for me, we'll meet up at the car, and she's like yelling up at him, no, I'm gonna leave, good working with you again. And it was so funny. We literally left Ben hanging up there, but it was just a very funny moment. But yeah, they do it. They needle each other, and they just have, it's more of a brother and sister relationship on set, which I thought was hilarious. Really fun chemistry between the two of them.
And now it is time for Kirsten's questions. What are the questions you have for Jason?
I did have similar ones to some of the ones that you had that we kind of already talked about. So I was a little bit curious too. So like those adventure scenes, do you have to like rehearse them in advance? Like how does that work?
We have to shoot them very quick. Like these type of schedules, we only had 2 weeks to prep it. And then I think we shot it. Usually it's 14 to 15 days. So a lot of it is Cindy showing up. We explain the scene. We have the stunt double walk it so she can watch the stunt double first, and then she can make the call if she's going to do it. And she always made the call she was going to do it. But that's how you kind of work it with any type of fight action scene, anything involving stunts. The actors get to see the stunt players do it first. And that's what puts them at ease. And then we break it down on how to shoot it. So she was a little surprised by how high she had to go. That's always part of it. So that kind of impacts a little. Same with the whitewater rafting as well. That's a hard one, because unlike all the rope work and being on those bridges, for Cindy, you kind of like, it's not like you get a first run at it. It's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to shoot it. But now we got to get on the water, and there's grizzly bears. So we're not going to get off the water. We're going to stay on the water the whole time. So that's, So anyway, so that's how it kind of works. And like I said, I mean, she's such a team player that she was willing to do all of it.
I also felt like Ben was very much so like in his element with like Virgin River and all of that. Was that shot near where they filmed that show?
It's funny. So we shot up in what's called Squamish, and it's more rugged. They have a lot of these forest areas. He actually has a place up there. So he's so that's literally, it felt like his backyard, and he loves nature, and he does have that as part of him. I mean, that's something that he fully enjoys. The fishing, and I think he has a couple kids. So I think for him, he was very at home in those type of surroundings. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think he really enjoyed it, and both of them I think were executive producers of it as well.
Oh
So
yeah, I saw that like on the thing. I was like, oh look, Ben and Cindy are both executive producers. I thought that was
yeah,
really neat.
it was fun. I think
Yeah.
for Ben, he thinks like a director. He's a smart guy, and I
Mhm.
think for him, he was able to be part of a lot of the prep. So
Yeah.
so when we're having meetings discussing things, he's right in there throwing his 2 cents in,
Mhm.
and really like being an executive producer. Cindy came on a little late in the game, but for me working with Cindy, it's very much about the script.
Mhm.
And Ben wanted to get more into the technical and how do you produce a movie like this. So he was
Yeah.
actually involved in a lot of the prep. With Cindy, I find it's very much about the script and character, and they all make
Mhm.
very good notes. Their binders with the script are full of little notes that they always have down, little
Yeah.
stickies as to what their process is, where the turning points are. They both do their homework, which
Mhm.
makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, you can definitely see that like on this like on screen, like how much work they put into every moment, like her facial expressions. Like I
Oh,
love when she's just like the best at that.
it's funny, eh? Like I know like some people might think it's over the top. I just love it because I think of Jim Carrey. Like she
Yeah,
just
I
has,
know.
yeah, it is hilarious. Like there is a certain style to her that is like a throwback for me.
Mhm.
With where as a female lead, it kind of reminds me of a female lead from like the 80s.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely feel that. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's been
Yeah.
like it's so great to like watch her on screen and like every little moment, like there's like some sort of expression that like goes like above and beyond.
Above and beyond. It's
Yeah.
instant comedy. I always know that if I want a fun reaction shot, and for
Mhm.
comedy, it's very much about the reaction. She's
Yeah.
always working it. So even when the camera
Mhm.
is not on her, she just gives it all for the other actors as
Mhm.
well. So again, her comedy, her expressions,
Yeah.
her ad libs are fantastic. And
Mhm.
by the way, even with the ad libs, like a lot of this wasn't planned. So to say, for example, that scene where she's putting the tent together and she has a long pole
Yeah. And
and
Mhm.
she
the pole
swings
hits
it
them.
back.
Yep.
It's a really goofy scene. It's like that was never planned. We didn't
Uh-huh.
have a stunt coordinator. It was her and Ben wanting to try it. And
Mhm.
the entire time I'm thinking, oh, I hope someone doesn't get hit in the face. Please,
Yep.
please. But they did it, and we choreographed it ourselves. But usually that would be a stunt coordinator there on the day.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to like rein them in because they're both
Mhm.
so creative. They're like two big kids,
Yeah.
and they really want to give it all for the audience. And I'm like, okay, let's do this safely. But I love where this is going. We
Mhm.
gotta now go with it. It's a
Yeah.
snowball going down a hill. Okay, we're gonna do it.
Noah, did you have any other questions?
Um, I actually had a couple more.
Okay.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Who do you have to rein in more? Is it Cindy or is it Andrew Walker? Who do you have to
Oh,
try and rein in more?
That's a good question.
that's so good. They are a little different. Like Andrew Walker, I have to watch him because he comes up with ideas, and we don't have a Hallmark exec on set, and he's like, "Hey Jason, let's do this. It's okay if you won't get in trouble. I'll take the bullet. I'll take the blame." That's Andrew, so that's how he plays me a little bit, and I'm like, okay, we'll do it.
Mhm.
But it's like, so whereas Cindy, it's more about Cindy takes me aside and listen, if I ever go too big on the expressions, I can go even bigger, but just let me know if I got to pull it in. Because she's like a top. You kind of wind her up and just let her go, and
Yeah.
her energy on set's fantastic. She
Mhm.
also, much like Ben as well, they all win over the crew, much like Andrew Walker is so well loved.
Mhm.
But I do find what's great about Andrew Walker and Cindy and Ben, they all want to elevate it, and sometimes we're given the scripts, and like I said, that's why I find the script is almost like a skeleton sometimes.
Mhm.
And when you bring on such incredible talent, they all have suggestions, and my job as a director is how to put that energy and these creative suggestions to work. Because
Yeah.
I'm competitive. I want to make the best movie I can.
Yeah.
And they always bring their A game, all
Mhm.
three of them. Yeah. So I would say, as far as reining in, probably Cindy more so than Andrew.
moving away from this film, which was a very good film, beautifully shot.
Oh, thanks.
This movie was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
These nature movies, I think that Cindy has her market, but what would you do with her if you could do a Christmas film? What type of story would you want to make if you were in the driver's seat with the script and just the whole direction of this film with her as your star?
You know, it's funny because I know she does a lot of fish out of water movies, and there's a lot to be said about that. Because I think the character might have been a little similar to Chasing Waterfalls. So I think I would like to take Cindy out of her element a little bit. Like I know she's great doing the wilderness movies, and that's very much her thing. But I always like to shake it up a little bit. So it would be interesting, maybe to cast her against type, to do something that was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to think about that. That's a very good question. I'm all about, honestly, like with the Hallmark model, I find that the Hallmark execs now want things that are different. And they are kind of, trying things which I think are wonderful and working on different plots. I would love to see something, with Cindy, maybe that again is ensemble. I like stuff like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I would love to see her in a situation like that, where you have like a huge family and she's dropped into it, and maybe it's a marriage that's multicultural. Something that again, very different. But I think that'll be fun. But I think I would love to see her in A Big Fat Greek Wedding, something along those type of lines, that type of format.
And the last two questions was this film easier to shoot than Miss Christmas? Because I remember you saying that you shot that in midsummer, and it was supposed to be so cold. Was it easier to shoot that film or this film from your point and from the actor's point of view?
I would say Miss Christmas Comes to Town was probably the most complex, because when we all read the script, all the actors were like, how the hell are we going to pull this off? Because it's a road trip, because usually they have like one market scene. We had like 6, and they were all at night. Yeah. And having to create the feeling of hitting so many towns, the complexity was actually like kind of mind-boggling. So I would say the complexity of that, plus we had to shoot on a bus. So
yeah, I was wondering about that too. Like, how like difficult would that be to like shoot in such like a confined area?
It's tough because we have to use wider lenses, which sometimes wider lenses. It's great if you're doing a Wes Anderson movie. But in a Hallmark movie, if you're like right up close, because you're stuck in this little box and you're shooting on a bus, it might not look as flattering, to be honest. So the biggest challenge is how to work in such an incredibly tiny space, because we didn't build that set. We were on an actual bus. So all that being said, I think the complexity of that is very different from us just having to deal with crazy chipmunks and grizzly bears and everything else. We're shooting outdoors, so we can move faster. We can get more setups. The complexity of shooting outdoors isn't all that much, because you have this beautiful surroundings that sell it. With Miss Christmas Comes to Town, everything has to be created. When we set up a frame, we're shooting in a big green park with a gazebo. How are we going to make this into winter? Well, we do it, but it means like move that tent and that tent and that tent, and we have to be up at a certain angle, and everything has to be faked, including the CGI, including all the fake snow. And it was the complexity of that movie just boggled my mind. So much easier, honestly, much easier, much cheaper to do something along the lines of whitewater romance.
Much cooler too. Much cooler. Shooting in that bus in 90-degree heat. With the night shoots mixing in. This was probably an easier shoot since you had a lot of day shoots. Yeah. Mostly a lot of day shoots, which is nice for you as a director, but also the stars.
Yeah, it was the complexity. Honestly, came in when we're shooting the scene around the campfire. That rain is pouring down. Like we have like this giant flag above us. It's called like a butterfly net, and we're trying not to light the rain because you got to give them a nice backlight, and you don't want the audience to see that it's pouring. So that was tough. That was the night shoot. We're literally on a beach. We're in this park. It's really tough when the rain is pouring down. You're doing a nature movie, trying to take it. So that was probably the most difficult, was when we had the rain issues. But again, I guess you guys didn't notice that it was,
No, I didn't notice that at all.
Movie magic.
Exactly. And the last question.
Oh wait, no, I have one other one then too.
Sure.
Yep, I have a feeling.
Yeah, the Tyler one.
Yep. Go ahead.
Do you want to do yours first or end with that one?
That's the same question.
Oh, it's the same one? Okay.
I always have the same question at the end. So you go ahead and ask yours, and then we'll ask him the very important question about his next film.
Okay. So I know that you worked on My Christmas Family Tree,
Yes.
and Tyler had a cameo in that movie. So I was wondering what that was like.
Tyler and I did a movie called Grand Theft Auto Girls.
Yeah.
And it was a Lifetime movie. It also went under a different title, which was called Hot Wired in Suburbia. And so I knew what he was like, and I love working with him. And he created in that one, honestly, he was a creepiest villain. He had a lisp, he had a limp, just always vaping, and he was this weird little character that was fantastic and quite psychotic. So I had worked with him on something before he went full on Hallmark and has a huge following now.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a bit of a reunion. The fact that we had worked on something so dark and psychological, and suddenly it's like we have the opportunity to do a little cameo with him. That was a blast. And I'm glad people noticed. People got a big thrill out of that.
I know, that was like a big thing for the viewers at home.
Everybody in all the groups.
Yeah.
Any cameo. We catch the most random things. And I remember that movie premiered, and everyone went, "Is that Tyler Hines?"
Yeah, I remember going back and be like, "Wait, that's Tyler."
Had to rewind it. Like, what? It's so fast. He just hands him a copy.
And then I love how Andrew does the same thing to him in his Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do more of that. Like, I love what Hallmark's doing. Like, they've really created almost like the Hallmark multiverse. Anytime they can overlap and they all get along, like they're all such wonderful people, and they're truly appreciative of the audience, and I find they give off such positive vibes. All of them are fantastic to work with. Tyler and Andrew and Cindy and I've worked with some wonderful people, and I've had amazing experiences. So I'm glad to be on this wagon train, this journey, and we'll see where it takes me.
Speaking of the wagon train, where's the train taking you next? I know you just got done shooting a movie with Tamara. Can you give us a little taste about what that's about? And maybe just a little bit about how she is as a person and to work with on set.
She's very spiritual. Like she truly loves people, and waves of goodness come off of her. Kind of like what that reminded me when I was working with Barbara Niven. Yeah. It's interesting because the Cindy, for example, I mean, she has an edge. She's from Montreal. She's hilarious. And but yeah, working with someone like Tamara, like she truly is a wonderful, very thankful, very giving person. So I got along with her fantastic. It was an amazing experience, and we also had a lot of. She was up for a lot of acting challenges, and she was just so appreciative. So that's someone who I can't wait to work with again. I hope that I have that opportunity. Very funny. Like she's 1 to 2 takes. We didn't want to jinx it, but that's what she told me, and that stems from that series she did, Sister. She's always ever since she was a teenager, she had that ability. She just nails it always on the first and second take. So like I said, it was an amazing experience, and it's again very, very funny. Not like the crazed over the top like 80s humor that we had with whitewater rafting, but she's playing a very different character too. Like she's playing a single mom. She's a real estate agent, and the guy that she divorced, she's taken on his daughter and adopted. And it's just really a fascinating character that she was playing with lots of levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then she also has an incredible arch nemesis. And I tell you, this arch nemesis you guys are going to meet when that comes out, completely different than anything you've seen in a Hallmark movie. Like truly awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I was very stoked. Very stoked. I think it's going to do extremely, extremely well. I just finished my director's cut. Mm-hmm. And Tamara was also an exec on it as well, on that one. So it's called Scouting for Christmas. We'll know the dates pretty soon. I've been told it might actually start off the countdown. So working on that. And then I have another one, which I just read the script. It's been greenlit. It's another Christmas movie, and I start that May 27th. So awesome. So squeeze in one more, and then I'm on to completely different sci-fi horror movie with Jay Hernandez. So that one's coming up pretty soon, and that's more of an executive producer type thing. I find to keep busy, honestly. I love directing, but I also work as a writer and also as a producer as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's always a great time with you. I've talked to you a couple times. But it's always such a joy. You have a joy about you.
Oh, thank you.
You give off great vibes, and my audience loves you. And you make some fantastic films. Fantastic films every single time.
You really do.
I love what I do.
All the films. Mm-hmm. You give such a good like insider view of like what the movies are like, and I really love that.
Oh, well, thanks so much, and I love to. Let's do this again when we have. Scouting for Christmas will be the next up.
And there is one more question after the video. I don't know if you can talk about it yet, so that's just why after the stream. But thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you go back and record a Whitewater Romance. It just aired on Hallmark Channel. It's a fantastic little film. Cindy's great. Ben's great. Jason, as always, thank you for coming on, and we can't wait to talk to you next time. And where can we find you on all your social medias?
Oh, thank you.
And with Kirsten.
Yeah, I'm all about Instagram. Please follow me at Jason Bourque 1. It's BOURQUE, the number 1. And I'm also on Facebook, and I also I'm on like X, Twitter, all that fun stuff. But Instagram is big for me. I love Instagram, and I always get back to people as well. I love talking about this stuff.
And Kirsten, where can we find you on social media?
So I have my regular page on Instagram. It's Kirst_Hendershot. And then I also have my Hallmark page with Amanda as well, which is You Had Me at Hallmark. So you can find us on there.
Okay, I'm going to type you in so I can follow you.
Awesome.
And as always, you can find me right here on YouTube. Everything is going to be Noah Kaser. But thank you for coming on. It's such a joy to talk to you, and we can't wait to do it again. And as always, everybody, keep your heart full of Hallmark. We'll see you next time.